Hi, everyone. Welcome to another week of Climate Fridays. I think this is our fourth week. Been going well. We've got good lineup this week. So we've got Harry Angus from Cat Empire, who's going to be performing. Then we've got Alannah from Shoalhaven, who's one of the school strikers. Will be speaking to Harry, as well as Auntie Delta Kay, who's a Bundjalung First Nation speaker. And yeah, so that's pretty much what's happening this week. Just want to remind people to please donate to help this campaign go and run smoothly. Your donations will go two ways. 50% of the donations go towards Support Act, which is helping artists, helping provide crisis relief to artists, crew, and music members who have been impacted by the COVID-19 crisis, and to provide mental health support through the Support Act Wellbeing Hotline. The other 50% goes towards Green Music Australia and School Strike for Climate to help make this campaign run. And we've got a lot of exciting things coming up, which will be announced within the coming months. Yeah, that's pretty much it from me right now. And I can pass it on to Harry. I'll make sure it's live on YouTube.
Oh, hello everyone. Thanks, Ambrose. So I'm going to play some music now, am I? Is that the plan?
I think so.
Awesome. That's pretty much the only thing I'm good at. That's good. So before I start, I would like to acknowledge that my performance is coming to you from Bundjalung country, which I am on right now. I'd like to pay my respect to elders past, present, and emerging. And I hope you enjoy this. And I've also got Freya Hooper on drums, and she's just going to reverb me up because when I sing, I like a bit of reverb. So yeah, chuck it on. Now I sound like I'm in a dungeon. Here's Freya. Here she comes. Freya Hooper. So my name's Harry James Angus, and I'm going to do some music for you all. I did write a song about climate change, but it was a long time ago. I forgot the words, unfortunately. But some of my lyrics may or may not allude to the climate. Everything's about the climate, really, isn't it? It's in the air we breathe. So this song's called Old Fashioned Mayhem. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hey little one, pay no mind to all those psychopathic property developers, phony friends. Anything you want, I get those ties for them. Oh, old-fashioned mayhem. Tie up your brother, ain't I showing the world from your window curtain? They're shaking the moon out there. You got your phenomenon, but I need some old-fashioned mayhem. Something wicked this way comes, Sodom and Gomorrah. I can tell from the look in your eyes. Hey little one, pay no mind to all those psychopathic property developers, phony friends. Anything you want, I get those ties for them. Oh, old-fashioned mayhem. All the most distinguished guests, a philosopher, pederast. All the finest meals are gonna crumble in their master ashes. Oh, old-fashioned mayhem. Something wicked this way comes, Sodom and Gomorrah. I can tell from the look in your eyes. I want some. I want some. I want some. I want some old-fashioned mayhem. I want some old-fashioned mayhem. I forgot to put my headphones on. Hang on. I'll be back. Fair Hooper on the drums. I want some old-fashioned mayhem. I want some old-fashioned mayhem. I want some old-fashioned 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 mayhem. 1, 2, 3, 4. Something wicked this way comes. Sodom and Gomorrah. I can tell from the look in your. Something wicked this way comes. Sodom and Gomorrah. I can tell from the look in your eyes. In your eyes. In your eyes. Ooh. Wow. We're going to do a song. Without further ado, let's get straight back into it. Everyone who's just joining, so please donate some money. Half of it is going to Support Act to support artists around Australia who are doing it tough right now. This song's called Hunt the Hunter. Actually, no, I'm going to do Over the Valley. This is my ceremony. This is my lullaby. This is my, look at me now, I'm full grown. Am I gonna stay here, keep on singing lullabies until the darkness falls over the valley, darkness over the valley. I got the haircut, I got the animals, I got the enemies, I got the ammunition, I got the government on my TV, I got the melanoma, come on my skin, got the camel toe cough, got my forehead no calamine, no shit in the parties, mistletoe. Got the right eye studying from my dynamics and the right eye, left eye stuck broke. And you, my beautiful child, just turn your eyes to the moonlight. Your heart is is so big, our love could turn the whole world to paradise. I'm not gonna stay here, keep on singing lullabies till the darkness falls over the valley. Darkness over the valley. Keep on singing lullabies. Keep on singing lullabies to me. Keep on singing lullabies. Keep on singing lullabies to me. Keep on singing lullabies. Keep on singing lullabies to me. 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 Mine, all of mine, it's mine. Give me now, full blown. Am I gonna stay here? Keep on singing lullabies until the darkness falls over the valley. Darkness over the valley. Keep on singing lullabies. Keep on singing lullabies to me. Keep on singing lullabies. Keep on singing lullabies to me. Keep on singing lullabies. Keep on singing lullabies to me. To me. To me. To me. To me. In the middle of the night, cold blue night, getting closer to midnight. In the middle of the night, cold clear night, it's getting closer to midnight. Middle of the night, it's a cool clear breeze, it's a cool clear wind. It's a roaring wind. I can feel it roaring. I can feel it burning. I can feel it coming. I can feel it coming. I can feel it coming. Keep on singing lullabies. Keep on singing lullabies to me. Keep on singing lullabies. Keep on singing lullabies to me. 1, 2, 3, 4. Keep on singing lullabies. Keep on singing lullabies to me. Keep on singing lullabies. Keep on singing. I'm gonna keep on singing lullabies until the darkness falls over the valley. Darkness over the valley. Keep on singing lullabies. Keep on singing lullabies to me. Keep on singing lullabies. Keep on singing lullabies to me. 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 This song's called Malevolent Light. It's kind of about screens and how bad they are, but then I'm on a screen right now. It's not so bad. But They can be bad. You came over in an orange dress. I was just a total mess. I guess this is how we're living. Cigarettes and algorithms. The lights are on, but no one's home. I can see the shadows grow. Piles of ashes, half-drunk beers, what kind of fire were we burning here? And I used to be scared of the dark, but no one's safe at home from the malevolent, omnipresent light. From the malevolent, omnipresent light. And the world outside is not our home. Outside where the alphas roam, still believing ancient theories. Don't you know you hold the mysteries in your hands like breeze of old? Your intelligence is folded. I guess this is how we're living. Cigarettes and algorithms now. And I used to be scared of the dark, but no one's safe at home from the incredible, omnipresent light. From the malevolent, omnipresent light. But I know the future has its way of winding through the darkened alleys. Now I'm glad I was forsaken. Now I know what it's like to be alone. And I used to be scared of the dark. No one's safe at home from the malevolent, omnipresent light. 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 Thank you. It's weird not hearing anyone clapping. Actually, it's not that unusual for me. But usually there's at least one person at the back of the room. I think that's all I got time for. So my songs are pretty long, so I better not start another one now. But I'd like to thank everyone for having me. These school strikers are pretty great to be working with, very inspirational people. And thanks so much for having me. Hey!
Don't worry, hey! Thank you. Performance absolutely amazing. Just on behalf of everyone watching it, I've been looking at the comments on the live stream and everyone loved it. Thank you for coming and performing. I'm Alannah, for those of you on the live stream. I'm from Haven, and I'll be interviewing Harry in just a second. But before I jump into the interview, I'd just like mention anyone listening in on the live stream today, it would be great if you could share the live stream to your own Facebook pages so we can get more people in the live. And while you're at it, make sure you go to org.au/donate to donate to Harry to help with Support Act, so then we can help support artists that have been impacted by COVID-19. But yeah, Harry, that was amazing. Thank you for that performance.
Thanks, Alannah. Oh, it's my pleasure.
I'll be that one person in the back clapping for you.
Hey, someone liked it. That's good to see.
So my first question for you today would be, how has your upbringing influenced your relationship to country and the environment?
Ooh, good question. Wow. I would have to say.
Sorry, that's a bit of a heavy one to start with.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. I like a good question. Wow. I would have to say, in a lot of ways, really badly. As in, Australia is such an interesting country, isn't it? I mean, it's got so many great things about it. But for many of us, our relationship to country is pretty weird, because it's built on a number of I would say false premises. The first being, terra nullius, and then some of the others being, I'm no expert, I'm no politician, and I'm not really even an activist, but it just seems to me like our relationship to country is really, really bad most of the time, and you can see that in what's happening with the climate, and you can see that in the fact that we don't really acknowledge our own history properly.
Yeah, definitely. So a follow-up question to that would be, how has this, if it has, impacted on your songwriting?
That's a good question, well, luckily, a lot of great music comes out of unhealthy situations. If you think about it, really, a lot of the best music of the 20th century came out of people who were highly stressed or oppressed, or had unhealthy relationships with, drugs and alcohol, or were poor, or were hustling, or were all kinds of stuff. It almost seems like any environment and any situation can produce great music, and that's one of the great things about art. It pops up everywhere where there are people, and if you can live in a really ugly place and you can make something beautiful out of art, I think that's what we want to do.
Yeah, definitely. Do you want to talk us through a little bit of your creative process and what goes into making the music you just performed for us today?
Okay, yeah, sure. So when I write a song, I find it really hard to just, I'm sitting here, you just play, you can play anything. There's like endless combinations. And then you got to think, is it any good? What am I doing? What does it all mean? Why am I doing it? You can really get caught up in your head when you're writing a song. And what I've kind of learned is that what I love is actually just being totally unplanned and more like trying to get into the, I don't know, I like to call it the channeling aspect of music, where you're not quite sure what's coming next, but you just kind of got to trust and go with it. And that's me, and that's my background as a jazz musician as well, where obviously improvisation is a big part of it. You know,
Yeah.
there's music, and then there's the music business, and the music business involves a lot of planning and a lot of thinking about your image, and crafting 3.5 minute long songs and all that kind of stuff, and that produces great art too, like I said before. But it's you don't have to do any of that really.
Yeah. Yeah. Have there been any specific ways you've been trying to stay sustainable during lockdown? Anything you've been doing particularly to try and keep sustainability up?
Oh, it's been the most. I've never been so sustainable in my whole life because I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah,
and
true.
I'm not doing anything.
I know.
And I've been keeping my mental health sustainable as well. And yeah, I mean, isn't it? It's very interesting. I mean, I'm sure everyone has thought at some point or another, well, we've turned the big machine off for a little while, and obviously that's got all kinds of negative ramifications. But then also you do look around sometimes and go, hey, some of this isn't so bad, or at least, there is a slower way of life possible, and not for everyone because everyone's in a different situation. But I don't know, something about the slow pace that's been going on the last few months. It's not all bad for me.
Yeah. And I'm really see how society, like when we come back out of COVID-19, whether we still keep a little bit of that slowness, and whether this has shown people that they can, like, every now and again slow down a bit and like take a breath from the hustle bustle of life. So what has a normal day in isolation been like for you?
Well, I mean, all my work got cancelled as a musician, obviously, because there's nothing happening. So I'm at home. In fact, I don't think I've ever been at home for such a long amount of time in my whole life. Or at least not since I was a kid.
Yeah, I feel you. Okay.
And it turns out I love being at home. I always thought of my identity as someone who travels and performs and is always moving. And all of a sudden, I'm just here. And I've got 3 small children. I've got my partner, and we actually live in a 1-bedroom house, which is kind of intense. It's because there's 5 of us, and one of us is a baby. But it's also nice, it's also kind of fun. So I get up in the morning, I make a coffee, I do some gardening, I do some practice, I answer some emails. And where I live, we're allowed to go to the beach, so I go to the beach. And
yeah, same here.
And I just kind of think about how lucky I am, and I feel sad for a lot of people in the world who are in much tougher situations right now. And I've been doing happy birthday songs. So anyone who messages me and asks me to do them a happy birthday song, I just sing them happy birthday.
That's my so good.
job at the moment. Yeah.
Maybe we'll have to get a couple people on the live stream. If you have any birthdays coming up, send Harry a text and he can sing.
Yeah, I'll do them live.
Happy birthday. Oh, that'll be great.
Everyone's different.
If there was one message you could give all the viewers today, whether it be environmental or not, what would that be?
One message for everyone. It would be, there's no absolutes. I kind of strongly believe that there's no absolutes. And, right now, anyone who's spent any time online has probably seen this kind of fragmentation of political and, anti-science groups springing up, and everyone's dealing in absolutes and falling into these. What's the word? You probably know the word. What's it called? Partisanship. Is that the word? Anyway.
I think so. I get what you mean.
I just think people need to remember that there's no one fix and one size fits all, and there's no philosophy that is going to work for everybody.
Yeah, definitely. I really like that message. It's very it fits really well. Also, I'm seeing here, would you by any chance like to perform another song before we get Delta up on screen?
Sure, if you'd like.
Amazing. We've had a lot of new people join the live stream, so we might as well
Yeah, okay. What should we do, Freya?
let them hear.
Do you want to do Hunter or?
Yeah, let's do Hunter. We're going to do a song called Hunt the Hunter.
Amazing. Thank you.
Thanks, Alannah. Great question. Here's Freya. She's back. Ooh, if you agitate, if you cry like that, simmer down rain, sky will tear. I dare hammer my fist, open my jaw. If I don't cry like that, maybe that's when, maybe that's how I turn and return and return and return again and again. What if I don't want to? It's not fair. You were right there, don't you hear me calling out your name? But now I'm older, I'm the hunter. Now I'm older, I'm the hunter. Yeah, now I'm older, I'm the hunter. Now I'm older, I'm the hunter. Yeah. Oh my God, she got a bad look in her eyes again. If I don't make myself a prince, she might never see my face again. Goddamn, nothing can get that can go. Don't we dance on winning sand? I can invent a punch like that, like Michelangelo lifted up his hand to the sky. So now I'm older, I'm the hunter. Now I'm older, I'm the hunter. Yeah, now I'm older, I'm the hunter. Now I'm older, I'm the hunter. Yeah. On the wicked, on the hunter, on the wicked, on the hunter. On the wicked, drive the lane. On the wicked, drive the lane. On the wicked, drive the lane. On the wicked, drive the lane.
on the wicked, rock the lane, on the wicked, on the lane, on the wicked, rock the lane, on the wicked, rock the lane. Now I'm old around the haunter. Now I'm old around the haunter. Yeah. Now I'm old around the haunter. Now I'm old around the haunter. Yeah. Now I'm old around the haunter. Now I'm old around the haunter. Yeah. Now I'm old around the haunter. Now I'm old around the haunter. Yeah.
Hunt the hunters, people.
Thank you guys so much for that performance. I guess
Hooper.
I'll introduce Delta now. Amazing. Hopefully.
Woo, thanks, Harry.
Awesome.
Hey. Yeah. Woo. Jumping on my bed. I was really jumping on my bed.
Ah, that's awesome.
Ew.
Amazing.
Hi, Auntie
Hey
Delta.
Delta. So I get the privilege to now introduce you guys to Delta, our First Nations guest today. I really feel like we have a lot to learn from our First Nations people in the way of environment and sustainability, as this land was and always will be traditional land. When we fight for climate justice, we're always also fighting for First Nations justice, as they both come hand in hand, and we can never fully achieve climate justice until we achieve both First Nations justice as well. I will be leaving in a second, so you guys can have a one-on-one chat. But before I leave, I just want to pose Delta a question. If there was one piece of advice you could give the youth tuned in today, what would that be?
Don't be frightened by what you're already doing. For me, as a First Nations people, I'm just in awe of you young people. I just feel that you're doing an amazing job the way that you're speaking for country, and I'm so pleased because when I go, I think that this country's in good hands. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much for that, Delta. I think I might head off now and leave you two to have a bit of a chat. Thank you, Harry, for having me here to interview you, and thank you for coming along to Climate Fridays.
Thank
It
you,
was a
Alannah.
pleasure.
Great work.
And thank you,
Keep up
Delta,
the
as
great
well.
work.
All right.
Cheers.
Well done.
See ya.
Bye.
Oh, she's deadly, Harry.
Yeah, awesome. Those are the best questions I've had in a long time.
Yeah.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm really happy. This is a great way to spend Friday night with these young people and yourself. Otherwise, I'd be on the couch, watching TV, wasting my brain space.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's nice to get out there and talk to people. For me, it's just great to play music with someone again. So it's who I am.
Yeah. Well, you got me going anyway. It's wonderful. Since we can't go out and listen to music, I can just play in my room. Yeah, so thank you.
That's my pleasure. Now, I guess I'm supposed to interview you.
Oh, okay. I'll get my cup of tea.
Here we go. Let's get serious. No, I just thought because we all get introduced so quickly on these platforms, it would probably be good for everyone out there to hear a little bit more about who you are and the place you come from and what your story is.
Yeah, well, I'm really blessed because, Harry, I'm sitting here on my traditional campsite of my elders, where they were born and raised here in Byron Bay. So it's really special growing up here in Byron, on these beaches, using all our natural resources like the fish and pippies. Still using fish and pippies to feed my family. Walking on country and able to still use our bush tucker and harvest plants for our traditional uses. And, you know, it's a very busy place now, Byron. So I spend a lot of time now, you know, welcoming people here, and educating them on why this place is so special, because we want people to come here and enjoy the nature, Harry, but we also want them to behave themselves and tread softly and, yeah, look after the country while they're visiting. So I work as a Aboriginal Education Officer with National Parks, and I also, yeah, work with a lot of local groups here. And, yeah, it's really, really important to me to work with our community and, yeah, build really strong and trusting relationships, because by, yeah, working together, we're going to look after country and everyone in it. So, yeah, I'm busy and I wear a lot of different hats, and I get around because I really, really care and want everyone to work together.
Yeah, I've seen you around because I'm not sure if everyone knows, but we are living in the same area, more or less. Well, I've only been here a few years, and I can't say I'm from here. Very few people can say they're really from here the way you can, I suppose. But what else did I want to ask you? And you're dancing. So I've seen you dance with your dance group a few times, and and it's such beautiful stuff. And it's really entertaining, and there's a lot of dignity in it. And I was just curious to know, because I remember I heard you say once during a dance performance that there was a dance that had been lost, and you had maybe relearned it from, or put it back together somehow, or it had been retaught. And I'm just wondering, how does it feel like to do the work that's not only preserving and celebrating Indigenous culture, but actually, can we bring back more? You know what I mean? Things like that.
Yeah,
dance.
yeah. Look, it's like you as a musician. There's so much joy in it, isn't there? And it's like me when I get with our dance group called Banyara, and here we are here. And Banyara Culture Collective, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram. We're a bunch of Aboriginal people that live here on Bundjalung country, and we come together and we share culture, we share dances, we share language, and we revive all our stories, and we get out there and showcase them through our dances. And it's really, really important because our young people get inspired and can join in and continue the dances. So, yeah, it's really, really special, really special. And for us, yeah, I suppose it's like a song, you know. You just reach so many people, and so does dancing, you know, telling that story through movement.
It's great stuff. Do you see more and more we're hearing people say we can't have climate justice without Indigenous justice and Indigenous sovereignty. What can you explain a little bit more about that and talk about what that means to you?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you a little bit of story. As I said, I'm here on the traditional campsite of my elders. A kilometre away, I've got my ancestors' burial sites. And, you know, this area here's got a really long history where it was once an Aboriginal reserve, where our people were forced on, and then it sort of like changed, the war changed, and our people sort of, you know, the land sort of shrunk because people wanted more farmlands. A race course was built, a foot track, a shooting range, sand mining happened, the cedar loggers happened. So there's all this history here that really heavily impacted my people. They had no say on country. And people go to these places around Byron, these iconic areas like the Lighthouse, not realising they're on sacred sites. And my people never had a say on country. And now me as a sovereign Bundjalung woman at 51 years old, I now have a say in my country. The Bundjalung of Byron Bay Arakwal people, through native title, we have rights here on our country. So working with national parks in our joint management, we've been very active in using the stories of our elders to start to rehabilitate all these areas that have been damaged from European history here. So having Aboriginal people on country, having Aboriginal people have a proper say on country, none of this gammon pretend stuff, Aboriginal people leading the way has really made a huge difference to the country and to our people. We now can walk around with our heads held high, knowing that, we're still carrying out our cultural obligations here like our elders did, our ancestors did before Europeans came here. So, it's remarkable, the changes that I've seen in country since I was a little kid to now. Yeah.
Full respect to that. I mean, when you say it like that, it sounds so right. I guess I'll probably just ask one more question to you, Delta, that I really want to ask. And I hope this makes sense. But so people often say when you're young, you have a lot of fire in your belly, and young people always want to go out and change the world. And then as you get older, you kind of lose it. You settle, or people say you learn more about the realities of the world, and you realize
get a bit cynical.
You realize things are more complicated. It kind of strikes me that in this country, Indigenous people have never really had the option to stop fighting. I don't know if you agree with me, but that's just what it seems like to me. Like you almost don't have a choice. So is there any advice you can give to people out there in the climate struggle from your experience of what it's like to just just keep fighting, and not give up?
I think just, going out there and walking on country, being one with country, it puts a fire back in your belly, because there's so much work we need to do. And we've never ceded sovereignty to our country here, and we never will. So nothing's really changed for our people except to keep fighting for our rights, for our country, because, if you don't have people on country's unhealthy. So I think it's really important to keep talking to the old people, and really important to bring the young people along with you too, because they are our future. Young people deserve all the respect, just like our old people do, because hand in hand, we're going to walk together and keep that fire in our tummies burning. Yeah.
It's great to hear. It's great to hear you talk about this stuff, Delta. I'd love to keep chatting. I'd love to keep chatting with you, another time. But for now,
definitely. I'm here, and whatever I can do to help this really, really important issue, I always make time for. People say to me, "Oh, you're too busy." I didn't want to, hassle you, but I say to people, "Look, we're all busy." And it's the busy people that are doing things,
Yeah,
so,
when you want something done, ask a busy person to do it.
Yeah.
And for those people who aren't in our area, Auntie Delta Kay is always everywhere. Yeah,
because that's how we're gonna look after each other in country. We all need to make time for country. Yeah.
Well, it's a great honour to have you here, and thanks for your wisdom and your inspiring words.
My pleasure. And keep up the good work, Harry. This has been a real pleasure. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. I don't think I've ever done an interview before. It's kind of nice to ask someone questions and just
It is, hey?
not have to think of answers. But Ambrose. There he is.
There he is. Hello, young fella.
Back. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. Hello. That was amazing. Really well set up, Harry. Amazing singing. Great chat with Alannah and with Delta. I thought it was a really good episode.
Thanks for having me.
Pleasure. Yeah.
Great to have you. All right. It's the end of Climate Fridays for this week, sadly. Show's come to an end. Want to thank Harry, Delta, and Alannah for all coming on, taking time out of their Friday night to come on a live stream and be broadcast in front of people all across social media. Oh, thanks to Freya as well.
Freya.
Thanks, Freya.
Hiding out of shot.
Forgot because I couldn't see her. Just want to lastly remind people, please donate to help this campaign keep running and to support artists. That goes towards 50% of the money goes towards Support Act, helping provide crisis relief to artists and those in the music industry, and 50% goes towards Green Music Australia and School Strike to help this campaign keep going. That's pretty much it from me. Is there anything else, Harry and Delta, that you wanted to bring up?
Oh, just keep up the great work, young people. I'm really proud of you.
Thank you everyone for coming. See you in likely 2 weeks. Cool.
Bye-bye.